After test driving the new Panamera 4S diesel, I thought I should make a small video explaining the differences between the new car and this one, so anyone who's interested may understand why I like the other car and what's the difference, because it sounds a bit stupid that you already have a Panamera diesel and you're buying another one. The differences are, first of all, this one is a 3-litre 6-cylinder twin turbo with a Tiptronic gearbox, and this one is 300 brake horsepower. The new one is a 4-litre 8-cylinder with a PDK gearbox, and it's 422 brake horsepower. So there's the massive difference in power. The other thing that I really liked about that car was 4-wheel steering. I'd never really thought much of them. I've driven cars for a long time with 4-wheel steering back in the 80s when Mazda 929 brought out a 4-wheel steering car, and there have been numerous other cars which have had, but they don't really do what this car did. I was driving around on country roads, motorways, all kinds of changing lanes, making U-turns, everything was just... It's a massive big whale. It looks like a massive car, and it is a big car, but the drive and the feel is that of a small sports car, which is very bizarre because I felt like I was driving a 911 instead of a Panamera, which is why I was so excited by it. It's also 4-wheel drive. This one is 2-wheel. Gave you that extra control over the car. The way I was accelerating and changing lanes and doing things that I couldn't do with this car, because when you exert too much power, the rear end starts to slip. Not easily, but I have a heavy right foot. That car, because it shifts the power between the front and the rear wheels, you don't feel anything. It felt like I was driving a petrol turbo rather than a diesel turbo because of the torque and the power that the car had, and the PDK gearbox has changed the gear shifting. This car has very smooth gear shifting. It's an 8-speed. You don't feel the gears shifting, but when you use the paddles, it's not instantaneous, whereas that one, I'm certain, I mean, the guy couldn't confirm whether that was a PDK, but I could feel that they had put a PDK gearbox, or they have just completely transformed their Tiptronic gearbox, because it was beautiful. There's so many great things about that car when it comes to driving and the feel of it, but there are quite a number of negatives as well. So one of those is the big dash with all these gizmos and gadgets and touchscreen this, touchscreen that. I think it would take someone at least a week to get used to it. And when you're driving the car, you want to be concentrating on the road, not looking at this console. A few irritating things, like the middle air ducts. When I'm driving, and like now I've got the aircon on, what I want to do is adjust it with my hand without looking, because I can feel where it is and move it around. On that thing you have to go through the menus, because the louvers are electronic, so you can't just change them yourself. So the middle ones are electronic, but the two ones on the side are manual. So if your car is fogging up and you want to clear the rear view mirror and point it in that direction, you can't. You have to reach out. So that is the most stupid thing that Porsche have done. If anyone from Porsche is watching it, undo it. Then there are so many other things that are just too much tech. They've gone overboard crazy with the tech. There's no need. It's a car. It's not an iPad. So if I want to do all my grocery shopping, I can do that at home. I shouldn't be doing it when I'm driving. So yeah, those were the kind of annoying things. Then there are these bits like, you know, these stalk controls on the side of the steering wheel, the little buttons that you have for memory seats and lock and unlock. In this car they're all matte black and very smooth and refined and nice finish. In that Panamera they were all glossy black and they looked like a cheap Japanese car. So I don't know what Porsche were thinking, going from a classy thing to a cheap tacky looking thing. So the plasticky bits looked very cheap. The leather and the finish, the same as any other Porsches. It's good, and I have to say it's you can't go wrong with it. The sunroof in those cars, what they call a panoramic sunroof, is not really panoramic sunroof. All they have is a front sunroof that opens and a rear glass top that doesn't open, and they're not even together, they're two separate things. So it's not really, because panoramic sunroof is supposed to go all the way back and it's one piece, and the glass that we're used to from BMWs and other cars. So that's one thing that I would say is bad. But the biggest gripe I have with that car is the electronic gizmos, because it was so hard for me to do anything. If I changed it from normal to sport mode, the display changed and started showing me stuff. I don't really know if the car is going up or down when you're changing it from one mode to another. I just wanted to drive. Maybe it's designed for some other kind of audience, target market that I'm not. So, but overall it's a very nice car. It also had air suspension, which meant that the car was very, very smooth and comfortable, and when you put it into Sport or Sport Plus, it completely transformed the suspension, made it harder, and overall it was a nice package. If I was to spec it myself, I think I would probably not go with air suspension, even though it's a nice thing to have, but I assume it's a very pricey option. But I'll definitely put the rear wheel steering, because that was just amazing. I think actually if I spec up a 911 in future, I'm going to put rear wheel steering on it, because that is definitely worth having. So today I'm off to test drive the Ferrari FF and another Rapide that I saw before, but I didn't get a chance to properly look at it and test drive it or anything. I really like the color combination, and it's beige with navy blue. I think the color is the most attractive thing about that car. The FF is also navy blue with, I think, either a tan or a red interior. I couldn't tell from the picture, so when I go I'll have a look. Maybe I can show you when I'm there. I was supposed to test drive a Range Rover Sport yesterday, but like with most of these dealers, I think they get paid so much and they make so much money they don't really care about customer service. The guy rang me on Monday or Tuesday and said that he would, I think Monday, and said he would ring me back first thing on Tuesday and arrange a test drive. And this is again Range Rover in Mayfair. So he didn't bother calling me back and didn't arrange a test drive. So even if I do buy a Range Rover, it's not going to be from Range Rover Mayfair. These people just think that the world owes them a job, and they make zero effort with their customers. I don't actually understand how these people keep a job, because as I keep saying, if I did 1/10 of what these guys do to me as their customer, if I did that to my customers, I would have no business and I would never get a job. So maybe I should become a car salesman and be a total and then people will still buy things from me.